3.6's homework is a very short, relatively simple homework, but I want you to make sure you watch your mistakes. It's going to be very easy to want to rush through this and think that we already know what we're doing. So take your time, make sure you are checking your answers. So we're going to start off in the ready with factoring special products. That's the difference of squares, sum of cubes, difference of cubes, and they all have their own little special things. The first half, the 1, 2, and 3, those are your difference of cubes. So, difference of squares. I don't know why I said cubes. So that's the difference of squares. And you guys are used to seeing difference of squares as maybe like an x squared minus 9, which would be x plus 3, x minus 3. But now you guys have something different where you have numbers in front of your x squareds. Maybe you have two variables, but you're still going to separate them the same way. So here's a quick example that's going to help you guys with 1, 2, and 3. Let's say I have 25x squared minus 64y squared. So this is very similar to number 2. But if you can do number 2, then you can do 1 and 3. So I know I'm going to have a plus and a minus. 25 is 5 times 5. X squared is x times x. So that's 5x and 5x. Then it's plus and minus because we need them to cancel. 64 is 8. And then y squared is y. So there's your difference of squares. Don't overthink those 3, please. Now in 4, 5, and 6, we're seeing the sum and difference of cubes. So the formula, and you're going to want to write this down. For the sum and difference of cubes. Sum of cubes. And your first hint that you're dealing with cubes is that your exponents are all 3's. And then all of the numbers, the coefficients, these are all perfect cubes. All of those are perfect cubes. So for the sum of cubes, the formula is, if I'm adding cubes together, they're going to become a plus b. So you have to identify a and b. Then it's times a squared minus ab plus b squared. And then for the difference of cubes, that's when it's a cube minus a cube. You're going to have a minus b, a squared plus ab plus b squared. And those two formulas you need to have memorized. It's not an option. You're not going to get to use a foldable on your test. You need to know these. You'll get that help on, we'll put it on your vocab. Okay, it'll be there, but it's not going to be there for you when you're taking a test, only a quiz. So work on memorizing this, you guys. Write it 1,000,000 times if you have to, but get those memorized. So let's do a very quick example on factoring a difference of cubes. I'm going to erase this, so if you haven't written it yet, pause, write it, and then press play again. Bye. Okay. So if I have, let's start very simple. Well, actually, let's just do number 4 together. So 64, x cubed minus 125. That's the difference of cubes. 64 is 4 cubed, and x is already cubed. 125 is 5 cubed. So you need to write them all as cubes first. That's an absolute must. You have to write them as cubes. So your a is 4x, and your b is 5. Don't worry about the negative. Okay, it's just a minus. There's minuses in our formula. So it's a minus b, a squared plus ab plus b squared. I recommend that you write this for every single one of them. Just get in the habit. If I see a sum of cubes, I'm going to write out the sum formula. If I see difference of cubes, I'm going to write out the difference formula. So a is 4x. B is 5. So the first one is 4x minus 5. This is your real root. that one will actually give me my x-intercept. Then the second factor is a squared. So this becomes 4x squared. Then it's 4x times 5, and then 5 squared. So you're welcome to use some mental math here. I know some of you will be able to square everything and multiply everything right away. But our final answer for factoring this, 4x squared is 16x squared. 4x times 5 is 20x, and 5 squared is 25. The first factor, this is always your real root. That gives you an x-intercept. The second factor on these are your imaginary roots. You get 2 of them. And because it's an x squared, so you're going to have 2. And you have to use the quadratic formula. So we're not solving right now. We're just factoring. But there's going to come a time when you're asked to solve these. And you will have to use the quadratic formula. And you need to know the first one gives you real. The second factor gives you your 2 imaginary for your total of 3. Okay, so that wraps up the ready. I hope that makes sense. If not, come in and get some help. I can give you guys some worksheets on this on CUDA, or you guys can actually go to CUDA and practice these on your own. Okay, let's look at this set. Very short, very simple problems. Find all zeros of each polynomial, then sketch the graph. When you guys are going through, this is like what we did in the classwork today. To find the zeros, that's your x-intercepts. Okay, find all the zeros. That's x-intercepts. So your first step is you're going to factor. Your second step would be when you have to change the signs. Don't forget the fundamental theorem of algebra. If n equals 2, there are 2 roots. If n equals 3, there are 3 roots. So be careful here. If I distribute, that's x cubed. So 9, you should have 3 x-intercepts. Be careful there. Then, once you guys have that factored, use those to make a sketch of the graph. Use what type it is. If it's a quadratic, how is it going to open? Is it going to open up or down? If it's a cubic, is it going to go up or is it going to go down? Pay attention to the end behavior. So you're just going to make a rough sketch. Okay, that's all I want is a rough sketch. But your intercepts need to be correct. If your intercepts are not correct, I'm not going to be happy. When you guys take your quiz on this, if your intercepts are not correct, I'm not going to be giving you any credit for it. So accuracy on your intercepts, both x and y. So make sure you find your y-intercept also. That's going to help you create a graph. And then it's just a rough sketch using your intercepts. And then when it says use technology to check your answer, use Desmos. All right. And then, okay, so that's that. But don't just jump right to Desmos, you guys. Those of you who do choose to cheat on this and, oh, I'm just going to type into Desmos and then I can find my intercepts. That's all fine and dandy. You're going to get those wrong on a quiz or a test. You're only fooling yourself. So please make sure that you are making an honest effort here. Put some work into this so that way you guys can not fail another quiz. Okay, multiplying polynomials. This is when you're going to use distribution. Distribute the x, distribute the 3. Distribute the x 3 times, distribute the 2 3 times. So same process for the other 2. I'm not doing those. You guys are also welcome to make the boxes if you guys want to use the boxes for multiplying those out. Okay, and then in the last one, for 14, 15, 16, you are factoring them differently. So pay attention to 14. It says factor using difference of squares. So go back and look at 1 through 3. That's how we did 1 through 3. In 15, it says use the difference of cubes. And that was what we did in 4 through 6. So look at those, okay? And kind of see what happens when you guys, well, let me get you started. I'll get you started on these. So when I'm factoring this as a difference of two squares, these are difference of squares because x cubed squared minus y cubed squared, that's a difference of squares. So this would be x cubed plus y cubed times x cubed minus y cubed. Don't actually, you know what? I think I'd rather just do this one in class so you're all seeing it. It's not a super easy problem. Some of you guys are going to be able to do this one just fine. Yeah, I'll just do this one in class with you guys. Don't worry about this. Sorry, I was planning on having you guys do it, and then I think I would rather just discuss this one with you guys in class for those who aren't watching the videos. I appreciate those of you who are watching them, but we'll just kind of end it there, and you can kind of see how then sometimes some of our factors, we could factor them different ways. We don't always have to use the same method. So 14, 15, and 16, go ahead and save those for in class. Unless you want to try them. You are absolutely welcome to try them, okay? But it's going to get kind of sloppy and you don't have enough room here. So you will want to put them on another piece of paper. Okay, that wraps up 3.6. Work on this. Come with your questions if you have any. Hopefully you don't. Hopefully this all makes perfect sense. But in reality, we probably have questions. So don't hold on to them. Make sure you do ask them, okay? Bye.